Hello.
John?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. I'm just sitting here waiting. So I think that was the longest legal contract I've ever seen.
I'm not going to disagree.
Yeah, there you go. Are you seeing me?
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Hello.
Hi, Sue.
Hello, Sue. There you are.
Okay, there you go.
Hello,
Good
Jim.
evening, everybody.
How are you?
They didn't hear me.
Hear you now, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah, they're all
What
there.
about your volume, Dad? Did you turn your volume up?
Let's see. Yeah.
There you go.
Anybody hear me out there?
I can.
Mhm.
You're getting old when your daughter has to show you some of the gizmos on this new computer.
How old is your daughter?
Oh, I think she's 24.
Oh.
26, good Lord, see? Oh, man.
Well, my granddaughter is showing me some of the things on this computer. She's 11.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that.
So, Aaron, are you there?
Nick?
Aaron there?
Hi, Aaron.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I couldn't see you before. Now I can see you.
So, John, I think all of the members are here, and I know we have some of the members of one of the local scout groups joining us tonight for their community meeting requirements. So,
Okay, well, just FYI, I'm chairing tonight, so I guess it's time. And let's call to order Parks, Recreation, Forestry Committee for May 18th, 2020. I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
I will move that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, any changes, emendations, corrections? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 just a point of order, John, was there a second to the motion?
Jim will second that.
It was no, yeah, sorry. Thank you, Jim. All right, and we had no nay votes, so it's they're approved as submitted. First order of business is the Cross Country Ski Association lease agreement. I'm sure you all had 3 hours to read through it. I did. Open the floor to you, Matt, to talk about it.
Well, I think as the commission's aware, this has been a long, better part of 3-year development in getting to this point. I just want to highlight some of the exhibits. I'm not going to clearly read the lease, but I want to get the mapping up. And if I can zoom out so we can see. So a little bit about this diagram, and what you see is the future location of the training center, the proposed training center. The green loop, and I'm hoping you can see my arrow or cursor on your screen, shows how the trail route would connect back into this main area. You see on the bottom of the screen, the current mountain bike trail, and an expansion of an area that we've talked about that would include a pump track, skills course, and these would all be developed by the city. The lease agreement, basically in a synopsis, requires that CXC, the Central Cross Country Ski Association, have money in an escrow account or other form suitable to the city attorney to construct the entrance drive that would come off of Schwartz Road and curve down in this general direction, and a parking lot and stormwater detention both off the parking lot and off of the entrance drive. And then the city, you can see this black rough outline of a paved trail loop. The city would be responsible up to a dollar level that's in the agreement, and it correlates with the amount of money that we have left in that project fund to construct that multi-use path system that would be used for cross-country skiing in the winter time and recreational use outside of that cross-country ski season.
By recreational, you mean hiking as well as biking and other things?
Correct. Outside of the cross-country ski season, and even during the cross-country ski season, the general public would have access outside of their events and you know, those type of large-scale events that may require limited closures, or kind of an awareness to maybe stay out of the area if they're having a large event. But the bulk of use would be open to the public. Now,
to clarify on those maps, when we saw that close-up of that structure,
yeah,
that's what's represented by that little thing that says donated land on. I mean, how does that situate on the other map, the big picture?
Sure. So you see this dashed line. It's 8 acres that
Yeah,
Dan is donating to the city. On the larger map, that's spelled out in this donated land here.
That's what I thought I remembered. I just wanted to clear.
Yeah. And Mr. Erdman is also providing an easement for the trail network.
Okay.
And Matt, this is Jim. You see where the words trail in parentheses paved.
Yep.
What's going on in that tan area where those words are situated? Around you have the perimeter, what's in the middle?
Mr. Erdman is retaining that property for farm purposes.
Okay.
And again, just to preface this, I anticipate this going in early June, the first meeting in June, to Finance and Council for review and hopefully subsequent approval. There's a lot of legal maneuverings with the donation agreements because there's donation agreement, 2 of them from Erdman and 1 from another adjoining property owner who's providing a very small sliver of land. And the subsequent annexation of those properties. But this is now, we're getting to the final stages in terms of review and feedback and comments, and are now starting to talk about signed documents and getting this to a position where it can move to Finance and Council.
I just noticed this, John, as I went through the documents today, there's still lots of edited and editorials and changes. Yeah, and have those been looked at by both parties and are?
The city's attorney and their attorney have been working back and forth. I've shared the most recent version of this that I had, which I believe was early May, but it's a, living, breathing. I mean, there's some really small editorial. There's nothing substantive that has changed or I anticipate changing before it goes to Finance and Council.
Okay.
But I also know that we've historically not met the first meeting in the summer months, which would include June. And I wanted to make sure that what we had today was before this went to Finance and Council.
Yeah. I mean, I personally thought it was well written, and gives the city a fair amount of continued access to all this land. And it seems it's a nice balanced proposal from what I read.
I mean, the real win here is that we're gaining access to land and providing it to the public for recreational use, and that it will really preserve, the agreement really preserves this land for recreational use for the next 50 years.
Well, I guess at this point I would look for a motion and a second, and if there's more discussion, we could carry it on, but I'm open to a motion if somebody's interested.
So Matt, I read in the lease that the city is responsible for the maintenance of the trails. Is that the bike trail and the ski trail? Like, will the city groom the trails in the winter?
No,
or does the ski club do that?
The lease agreement really spells out the cross-country ski season and then the off season. During the cross-country season, which runs October 15th through May 15th, April 15th, one of those two, April 15th. That is the responsibility of the Central Cross Country Ski Association. The city's responsibility would be in those warm months where we're envisioning maintenance being mowing back off the trails like we do on the rest of the trail system. It's mowing work that we can do with our LTE staff and shouldn't have a significant impact on our operations.
I thought that was kind of stated in there, that is, it's basically mowing no more than 30 feet.
Right, and at a minimum once per month.
Yeah. But you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of the additional trail network and the access for the public, I think, outweighs the small maintenance responsibility that the city is going to incur.
Well, still entertaining if somebody's willing to make a motion.
Oh, this is Jim. I'll make a motion to approve the, what are you doing? Approve the preliminary plan as we've seen it.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
And this is Sue. I will second it.
All right. So now any further discussion, questions, comments? Now's your chance. All right, hearing nothing, all those in favor of the motion signify aye.
Right?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, I think we have a passed motion to approve this for recommendation or whatever. Matt, you'll figure it out, right?
Of course.
All right, moving on to the next agenda, update on the pandemic response and planning.
So as a commission, we haven't talked a lot, and I wanted to kind of share with you where things currently stand, what we're learning, both from our partners in the region as well as across the state, and our continued work with Madison-Dane County Public Health. We have been receiving a lot of guidance and direction from the Public Health Office, including a pretty significant update this afternoon that as of 8 a.m. tomorrow, they are providing that communities can reopen for tennis and pickleball and disc golf. There are some limitations on that you should be playing with singles only, and in any situation where there's more than one court, that every other court is used. So in a situation where all of our park courts, with the exception of Lakeview, are 2, so only one of those courts could be used at a time, and at Lakeview, 2 of the 4 courts could be used. The city of Madison, and you know, it speaks to size of organization. They have one dedicated individual who does their social media and communications for their parks department. So they've been really great at developing signage that the rest of the Dane County organizations can use. And so we received those drafts this afternoon. I'll be working to get those up tomorrow. It won't be an immediate return to play. We have some courts that we had continued problems where we had to take nets down, and I'm not guaranteeing that by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning they're going to be back up, but we will work this week to have tennis, pickleball, and disc golf back up and running. I'm working on a plan to gradually reopen restrooms in the parks, starting with Orchid Heights and Parisi that serve our trail users, and right now would be the main, and with this afternoon's news, I'm adding Taylor Park to that list. The caveat is, as you're all aware, we have a contracted cleaning service that cleans those restrooms, depending on which location, either 4 or 5 days a week. And we're now required to clean any restrooms that are open daily. So I'm trying to work with our janitorial provider with the gradual rollout to do fewer, but do those every day for right now. So starting with those first 3, and really in the rest of our park system, until playgrounds and ball fields are back usable, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to have the restrooms open. So trying to prioritize and keeping our budget in line with what we're awarded, trying to gradually bring those restrooms back. We've not heard a lot on sports, and it tends to be everyone's topic of conversation. The guidance from Public Health today was that contact sports can return, provided you're playing with family members. So in most situations, that limits a lot of contact sport opportunity, but and I guess the big difference is you could do that in your own driveway or your own property previously. You can now do that in public parks. Also, we're not going to chase anyone off of a basketball court who's just shooting, you know, a father-son, or 2 buddies who are just out shooting hoops. That'll now be acceptable. We can't have full-scale 5-on-5 games unless you're got a large family that live in the same household and can, you know, accommodate a 5-on-5. But you might get some 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 by same family. The challenge with all of this is it's really hard to determine what's a family unit. And I think a lot of this goes to common sense and being smart about the precautions and everybody doing the right thing. And we've seen just like any other rules, we've seen good compliance. You have 1% that are always going to go against the orders and the wishes, but we've had, you know, for every email I've had complaining that we should be open, I've had 30 that say we need to close more. So I think our community has been very receptive to the guidance from public health and trying to do the best thing for everyone. In terms of the aquatic center, 2 weeks ago, we made an initial presentation to the council and finance committee that the CDC and now Dane County Public Health have shared reopening plans for pools. That the chlorine in the pool water is a safe environment. I think the challenge is the deck and the bathhouse. They have shared guidance on social distancing being enforced at the pool, and that depending on your facility, there's a range when you open between 10 to 25% of your normal capacity, depending on your pool type and the amount of space you have on your deck. And Rebecca's really been out on the front of this effort and learning a great deal and helping shape some of the guidance in how to reopen the facility safely. Now, there is a monetary component to that we'll be discussing with Finance Committee and Council tomorrow night. But there is guidance and a plan in place to reopen the pool. We've given budgetary figures on not opening at all, opening June 6th, which was the scheduled opening day, and delaying opening till July 1st. So there'll be more on that tomorrow evening. And that's, unless there are questions or the one thing that I'll share is that we have a meeting later this week with our insurance provider, and the main topic of conversation is likely going to be liability around COVID. One of my main concerns is in shelter reservations, and that what is the guidance. The challenge we have is, as you're mostly aware, our shelter reservations are typically for groups much larger than 50. And, right now, we wouldn't be in any situation to reserve shelters. I'm suggesting that until we can have groups of larger than 50, we should probably not be reserving shelters. And then you get into the challenge of, if you come and reserve a shelter, and we have an additional liability form that's required. And I'm not sure that's going to be the case, but if we do, you're signing that as the person reserving the shelter, but when 150 people show up, we haven't secured any waiver or any clearance from them. So it's a question that I can't answer and that we're hopeful to learn a little bit more about later this week.
Well, the good news is I'm not going to do that, so that takes a burden off the issue.
But I think what you're seeing is a slow and gradual and systematic way of reopening. We have met with Madison Parks, Monona, and the city of Sun Prairie to kind of have a uniform approach to reopening, where everyone's going to try and be in concert across the county so that we don't have, I'll use pickleball as an example, that pickleball isn't, all going to one community and loading up in that community and overburdening its system because they're open and everybody else isn't. So trying to be uniform in how we reopen our parks.
Well, I guess if I have a concern, and this just as a comment, that we talk about cleaning the bathrooms and stuff, it's one thing to be socially distant, but when somebody might walk by me at 6 feet away into the bathroom, but what they may leave in that bathroom and coughing in there is still there when they leave and I go in. And so I don't know if washing a bathroom out once a day somehow, whether that's still, to me, seems to be risky. You'll have to talk to insurance people, but that, if I go in the stall and cough and then walk away and someone comes in, I don't know.
And I think what we're seeing is that everyone has their own level of tolerance and safety when it comes to this. And And those choosing to use a public restroom are going to do that with the knowledge that it's being cleaned once daily, and we will likely sign those as such. That'd be my recommendation that we do.
Sure. I mean, it's maybe there's a different issue that, we talk about you can open a store, but will people come? So we're talking at a cost and budgetary issue. If you open up the pool and you get 1/10 the people who normally come, what does it do in terms of costs and burden to the city in maintaining the pool being open?
That's why, right or wrong, we've taken that decision directly to finance and council and not burden PRFC with that, since it is largely, as I look at it, a financial decision. I think, the other piece to it is, and from Rebecca's standpoint, and there's been other comments too, is our kids need something to do. And if we don't provide opportunities for them, they're going to seek them out on their own. And there is a balance there of doing things safely and doing things correctly while still trying to provide recreational opportunities. And I think that's what the guidance really speaks to is our normal pool capacity is 697. Don't quote me on that, but I'm off the top of my head, I believe that's our capacity at the pool. We're looking at a max capacity of 87 per open swim session under the initial opening guidance.
So that's like 15%, pretty much, something like that. Okay. Other comments, questions? All right, thank you very much. How about item 5, project updates?
So if you've not been by Lakeview Park, there's really been some interesting work and good work that's happened. I'm going to try and share, if I can, some photos from last week when I was on site. I'm going to try and share a different screen here. So the picture you're seeing here is, this is the pond side. You can see the pond in the background here. So this is the expanded area. This is one of the new garage roll-up windows framed in here. These will all be glass windows. There was a full wall here. It's now temporarily shored until they get the new support beams in place. But basically from this line is the expanded area inside. The other garage window is not visible. It's further to the right of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just need to figure out.
Are we looking off to the northwest or northeast?
Yeah, you're looking towards the pond, so it'd be northeast, correct?
Yeah.
One of the interesting developments through the construction process is, and what this photo is going to show a lot. So first you see the new support column. These used to be wooden frame structures that now we have that more exposed look of the steel support column. What you're seeing here is the exposed ceiling after it's been what they call soda blasting. It's a form of pressure washing that takes the paint off and exposes the natural grain of the wood. But what you're seeing here on these support beams is from the fire. I don't have an exact date, but there was a pretty significant fire at the Lakeview Shelter years ago. And so you're seeing this charred look on the wood, and it really gives a cool contrast with the exposed ceiling. And this ceiling will be naturally sealed with a stain. But they had, on the support columns, they had clad over them, and so they weren't exposed to the char. So right now it's one of these fun things of construction. They're trying to find a way to blend in this look and are looking at ways to char this so it matches, because the photo doesn't do justice of how cool that look is on site.
But it's structurally sound, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt. And so you all heard me lament about the weird wall that really didn't do anything. Well, this is now looking towards Allen Boulevard, and the weird wall is gone. Don't fret about the floor of the shelter, as that will all be replaced as well. They're going to stain the ceiling and everything inside before they pour the new floor. But you can see kind of that new corner and the steel column support columns now in place as well. So they're on schedule, making good progress, and every time I'm down there or I meet virtually with them, there's new exciting work happening. Once all the walls came down on the inside and they kind of exposed everything, you just realized how large of a building that really is. And all the interior framing's done. They were HVAC and plumbing and electrical was going kind of full speed ahead last week while I was there. So from that process, construction's gone really well. In terms of other updates, the entrance to Woodside Heights, we're still waiting. I was hoping as I put this agenda together that they would have gotten it paved last week. We're really hopeful this week that both the Woodside Heights and the 2 underpasses are paved. They're just trying to get on Tri-County paving schedule to get in and get that work completed. Parisi Park Playground, we had a really good response on the voting. What we ended up doing is we received a total of 6 companies responded to the RFP, and each submitted 2 proposals. So we had a total of 12, and the goal was to narrow that down, and a second round or a final round of voting will go out tomorrow with those final options to kind of narrow down. But we had a really good response. I was happy with the proposals we received. Some of them are clearly better than others, and that really kind of was pulled out in the public voting process. So,
is this for next year or later this summer?
The planned install was late August.
Okay,
of this year.
Right.
So that's really all I have, unless anyone has questions or further clarification.
Comments, anybody? Well, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Night.